I just can't let you live in a place like this, Adrian. This whole damn house is soaked with my sorrow. And this chair that was my prison for years. I can't let you take this place. Not like this.
Remorse the List is a survival horror game created by the Depressic team, a duo of Hungarian indie developers. The name might ring a bell or two for those acquainted with the Half-Life 2 modding scene. These lovely individuals were the architects of the somewhat underrated Half-Life Grey mod that for many years was shrouded in its cry of fear-based contemporaries shade. After 7 years in the making, the public finally got to play this little indie game on April of 2022. While Remorse is not by any means a masterpiece, doing things right and wrong in equal measure, and it unexpectedly delivers a nice serving of jank. Oh, trust me, there is a boatload of that. But those who enjoy a good scare or two mixed with semi-decent survival horror might find some value here. Jesus bloody Christ, looking at the whole script in hindsight, we really wanted to love this game, huh? Hello, this is Perverted Seb speaking. A narrator you surely want to invite into your car to discuss the psychosocial development of hamster societies. And standing by his side is the architect of this digital piece of independent media. Well, the original cut at least. Creative Seb. Remorse the List harbors a special spot in the ceaseless pump of flesh we refer to as our heart. There is a certain unique breed of joy when we see teams that once delved in the mod creation eventually branch out to build fully fledged games. Whether or not Remorse is an evolution of its predecessor/projects that inspired it is still up to debate, but we are getting ahead of ourselves. First, let's take a look back and dive into the days gone. That would be the ancient era of 2015. The year when regular gamers got to sink their digits into Witcher 3, Fallout 4, Bloodborne, Undertale, Soma, Hyperlight Drifter. A few years prior, a Hungarian duo of developers released a Half-Life 2 Episode 2 Total Conversion mod, unoriginally titled Grey. The mod was competent, offering a nice atmosphere of horror, 2 difficulties which altered level layouts, enemy placements, adding, subtracting new and old monsters. One needs to note that even if we were to exclude Cry of Fear, a masterpiece of indie survival horror that came out alongside Grey, subsequently smothering the latter in its crib, there would remain popular source mods like Underhell, G-String Beta, the first version of Black Bloody Mesa for crying out loud. All of these factors mixed with a not-so-search engine-friendly name ensured that Grey was deprived of its spot in the limelight. Following that, Depressic team announced an objective-based 4-player survival game, Derayenik, or Derayenich, whichever, which as of now seems to be wiped off the face of the internet. After Derayenich was strangled and left in a freezer somewhere in an abandoned Bolivian shack, Remorse the List was officially announced in 2015. Even from the early screenshots, one can already glimpse the framework that lay at the foundation of the end result. That brings us to the present, with a question: was the wait worth it? With the history lesson out of the way, let us get to the analysis proper. The game takes place in a 90s fictional Hungarian town of Hidegpuszta, where we, as a player, assume control of a man named Adrian, coming back to his hometown in order to fulfill the requirements of a mysterious list. Bring me back my memories, says the list. And as you delve further and further into the heart of the city, the more twisted creatures, horrifying secrets and revelations you uncover. It would be unsurprising to hear that Remorse attracts comparisons to Cry of Fear, like cigarettes attract underage schoolchildren who don't have anything useful to occupy themselves with. Both feature individuals trapped in European settlements populated by abominations and symbolism which would make the monsters of Silent Hill get a foot-long erection. That with an added mix of the same voice actor, Dragon Norm, if I recall correctly, limited inventory, puzzles, a hybrid of shoddy melee combat and serviceable gunplay. So, well, standard features of survival horror, now that I think about it. Well, hell, there's even an enemy that seems to straddle the lines of an homage and a straight-up rip-off.
Visually speaking, the game's old-school 90s Central European aesthetic definitely sells the feeling of grunge, hostility, isolation, neglect, and decay. Built from scratch using materials ripped straight from the dev's hometown, which adds a new layer of depth and nostalgia, especially for their kinsmen. The picturesque textures given depth by competent interplay of modern light and shadows alludes pleasantly to an era of gaming that slipped past us quite recently. We wouldn't blame you if you assumed this little horror experience was assembled on Unity or maybe some jacked-up version of Source Engine. But in truth, it actually runs on Unreal Engine 4, which comes with its own unique brand of,
Visual curiosities?
Yes, before we shine light on that subject, what I was meaning to convey is that when it comes to looks alone, the game definitely captures the sensation of being lived in. And when it all inevitably spirals into madness, the game does offer a few interesting otherworldly locales.
Though, if we are being honest, apart from a handful of standouts, these nightmarish sequences seem so much more muted in comparison to its spiritual prequel and sources of inspiration. This scene is one of the exceptions, captivating the mystery, the feeling of being watched. Or this one, the hallway of shadows that you blindingly have to navigate. But these are an exception and not the norm. Returning to the topic of Unreal Engine and its unique strain of visual oddities.
Yes, need a prime example? Look at this revolver. It's so bloody shiny. In fact, a few things in the game have this weird shine to it. You'd most likely brush your teeth and shave whilst looking at these floor tiles, I tell you. Another thing that isn't as shiny or that useful as a whole, the flashlight, that makes its miniature keychain brothers resemble beacons of Alexandria that burned for quarter of a century. By any means, the cucked flashlight isn't all that much of an issue. There are plenty of projects that masterfully use bad illumination to drive the tension and the flight or fight response. The problem here is that mostly the game is lit, where darkness would be miles more effective, and the handful of outdoor areas that are shrouded in the dark won't prove to be much of an issue, since you can hear the enemies from across the block. Meaning that
it is damned to be a barely useful tool of navigation that you might leave on, forget, and subsequently drain dry. The first-person animations don't fare better either. It's a crying shame considering the projects it took inspiration from. Hell, even its predecessor seems to fare better in both sound and animation department. When it comes to the antagonists that hound our protagonists every step, it's a mixed bag, both on the design front and audio. The computer lady, the flying scissor man, the shrieking assortment of flying body parts stitched together are the highlights, yes, which are then juxtaposed with, a tired office worker, a severed torso, what the world perceives your average Metal Gear fan looks like when they're left alone.
While the former trio is accompanied by a competent soundscape, many of what Remorse offers is... Don't you dare!
I won't. But, yes, the game does commit a cardinal sin when it comes to audio. The somewhat lackluster soundscapes don't only limit themselves with monsters. Turn down the music volume for a moment and listen. What do you hear? Silence. Absolute almost. Dead silence in some places even. Which almost makes it feel like the player character and the world around them exist on different planes of reality altogether. A disconnect that inhibits the feeling of dread instead of strengthening it. Again, we do not mean to be this harsh on the game since it's a two-man show, but come on. Even Grey, its predecessor, handles animation, ambience, horror, better, not to speak of the one Gold Source game that too was made by a handful of European devs.
All in all, we did not mean to embark on this journey and return bearing gifts so sour. But when it comes to presentation, each technical achievement presented is afflicted by a dozen more missteps that neuter the horror aspect of Remorse, the list. Having followed the game's development since its announcement, you could definitely say we had high hopes for the project. We ended up with a criminally short experience that oscillates between serviceable and laughably easy. On the positive side, the somewhat non-linear progression allows us, the player, to stray off the beaten path and explore at our own leisure. The fact that the game has a map which doesn't show your exact location, in turn, forcing you to decipher it through street signs is a really nice touch.
We ran out of standout features to mention real quick.
Arguably, the game's biggest issue lies in the way it balances difficulty. Something a good horror game needs to absolutely nail. A delicate balance between the fear of getting your innards ripped out and teeth-grinding frustration of having to restart a save over and over and over again. The default normal setting is the only available one by default, and if you can forgive our honesty, it's just easy mode. You can amass enough ammunition to besiege a fort, the enemies barely go beyond some rough housing, and if you are even somewhat careful, you can blast through the game without dying once. Okay, maybe just once to the final boss. The hard difficulty, unlocked after the first playthrough, sadly doesn't fare much better.
As stated at the start of the video, while Half-Life Grey's difficulties altered levels, some visuals, shook up enemy placements and such, Remorse the List does barely any of it.
And it is quite understandable as Grey never mentions that fact. As far as we know, since it's not unlocked right out of the gate, plus logically speaking many a player won't immediately restart the game they've just finished. The unique touch-ups of the hard difficulty were screwed from the very first minute. The game was rigged from the start.
Wonder who's at fault there. So to avoid doing extra work, they, for all intents and purposes, avoided doing the extra work. The resulting hard mode offers a few different enemy placements, and its level of challenge is akin to a QRS complex that flashes on the hard monitors in hospitals. The first 20-ish minutes, Remorse peaks into the zone of crushing difficulty, with a combination of low ammo, weak weapons, and enemies that take a lot of punishment to go down, and then it slopes into what other projects would consider to be normal or even easy difficulty, because the game aggressively shoves the weapons, ammunition, portable medication, and static med boxes down your throat. And yes, while our protagonist makes use of limited inventory, which can be upgraded by finding pouches and such scattered throughout the Hidek Pusta, it feels more like a checklist feature, as nothing stops you from wasting a minute or so of your time getting back to the starting area, dropping off needless loot, mostly ammo and guns, at the central hub and being on your way. The limited inventory can serve to enhance tension. Here, it's more of a you forgot a phone in the other room and now you have to break the comfort of your chair to fetch it.
Another thing that serves to somewhat artificially complicate things is the way the enemy hitboxes seem to be handled. They are completely off their rocker, which with an added bonus of erratic, convulsive movements turns the act of scoring headshots or landing melee hits for that matter into a match of blind darts. Hell, these things could give Chris Bloody Kyle a run for his money. Can you definitely tell me whether or not some proper damage is being done here? Most of them barely even flinch. You might as well be even tickling them for all you know. It's quite possible the absolute surplus of ammunition is a flimsy band-aid to address this very issue. And the fact that melee is just as effective and well implemented as harsh language.
Another problem is that the player is rarely incentivized to vary up their tactics, as most environments are wide and long. Just walking back and emptying a magazine or three into whatever thinks your brain case is a tad too structurally sound is a sufficient strategy in 90% cases. Side note, don't you find it funny that in Source games many melee-based enemies have to actually stop before performing an attack, which gives an opening just wide enough to escape? Since Remorse strongly alludes to the days of source modding, that issue mostly persists.
Oh, if you love to draw bloody parallels so much, your beloved Cry of Fear didn't switch things up all that much when it came to enemies too, you know?
True. But there is one thing it did do genuinely well that ties directly with the aforementioned shortcomings. No matter how much we hate to admit it, Remorse also loses a lot of points in the horror department. For every one well-placed nightmare fuel of an abomination, there are 12 others that run at you from the capital of Sudan, loudly proclaiming their presence just as you enter the area / their line of sight. Why? Who thought this was a good idea? There is a reason why crammed environments are the bread and butter, the nucleus, the engine of horror games. The claustrophobia, the tide turns, low light conditions, ambience all work in tandem to create the fear of the unknown. Every corner, every turn you take is a dice roll of safety or an inevitable confrontation. Here, however, most if not all confrontations take place out in the open, on wide streets, well-lit parks, initiated by a loud screech or wail. Sound and music can be used to effectively mask the presence of an enemy, in turn luring a player into a false sense of security. Dead Space franchise has a few moments where the abominations that appear behind you neither make a sound, nor are they highlighted by the sharp strings like the rest when they appear. This can prove to be frighteningly effective, pun intended. If we're to return to enemy placements, for example, why can't there be something here, or in this pit devoid of any light? You want a silver bullet for your horror? Because that's how you get a bloody silver bullet for your horror.
Continuing the trend of loading imaginary silver bullets into the gun that kills Remorse's horror, the boss battles. By any means, many great games screw up boss battles, so it's not a massive issue. But, going into minute spoilers here, if you're somehow thinking of hoarding ammo before confronting the big baddies, don't. Mostly these are janky AF puzzles that will provide you with everything you need. Hell, the first boss can be beaten by the tried and true method of tossing crap into a furnace.
And apparently there is an alternative way to approach her. You see, if you somehow break these very specific brain fungus things that are growing on these specific levers, not these brain fungi that litter the floor, mind you, only the former. So, by pulling these levers, the boss's CNS pops open a la the brains from Silent Hill 4, allowing you to unload on it with extreme prejudice. The logic behind it baffles me. It is not telegraphed properly.
The puzzles ain't all that amazing either. We're not really huge puzzle guys, meaning the way we solved things was either trial and error or walk-through assisted progression. Perhaps people more into Portal and such could fare better.
Before moving on to the single sheet of paper that is Remorse the List's story, we wish to draw a few conclusions.
We have come off as tarred harsh on it, yes, but the game isn't in any way, shape or form outright bad. By any means, there are better
and cheaper
horror projects to sink your digits into, but for those itching to scratch that source horror mod itch, they might find something enjoyable here.
I'll be the first to admit before you go into the comments, or most likely you already did. Oh, wait, there's nobody fucking watching this. There is a presence of emotional baggage here. We've been waiting for Remorse ever since it was announced, and I personally can't shake the feeling that for all of 7 years it took to go from an assortment of blog posts and pictures on ModDB to the retail release, half, if not more, of that time was spent in development hell. Look, we're not John Carmack, alright? But being in the world of 3D design for years, we know just how much effort one needs to put in to create just a single asset. But Remorse genuinely feels like it was thrown together from assets that were mothballed for years, and the devs didn't just want to let it all go to waste. A sequel is supposed to be an evolution, an improvement over its predecessor. Almost every cock-up Grey had, Remorse repeats it down to a letter T, and then douses it in napalm mixed with its own unique brand of mistakes. We had really high hopes for the project, and yet we ended up with something that is simply not a good shooter for those who enjoy shooters/action horror, and something too forgivingly easy going in tandem with watered-down horror for the fans of survival or psychological horror. Remorse has trappings of greatness, but it just meanders and squanders its potential, lacking the direction that will make it all click. These lads have a talent, an ability to create visually interesting scenery and hostile fauna, but lack the capacity to craft compelling gameplay or horror that sticks its landing. I don't know how this thing can be arranged, but perhaps the team needs a third person, someone who can tie their vision, their creations together into a comprehensive package. The missing link, the glue that holds it all together. If you want better alternatives without the need of forking out cash, just play Cry of Fear, which was made by like 3 people, or Total Chaos, made by 1 person, mind you. Or perhaps you want to grab Alien Isolation, Amnesia the Bunker, or if you're a source mod enthusiast, maybe grab In Sound Mind, which was developed by the Nightmare House devs. I've heard very good things about it. You might get a better bang for your buck.
Damn, we really did not mean to go so hard on it, did we?
Yeah, I think we did. Let's just move on to the story, eh? Oh wait, there's barely anything of it.
The basic premise is that you are Adrian, a man who is stranded in a twisted parody of his hometown of Hidekpusta, searching for the artifacts of his past to uncover the tragedies that fragmented his family. Right out of the gate, the story has a few glaring issues. Remorse obviously takes inspiration from Silent Hill and the games that in turn were influenced by it.
And it promptly fucks up one of its most crucial aspects. Such horrors thrive off of delving into the minds of our flawed protagonists, how they interact with the nightmarish world, what comments they have, what further fallacies, closet-hogging skeletons will the scant members of the no less flawed supporting cast unearth from them. Here you get 4 or so audio logs, narrated by the same guy who voices Simon Hendrickson from Cry of Fear, Dragonor, a few records, slideshow, silent protagonist. See what I mean when I propose Remorse was probably stranded in development hell for a long while.
In short, a silent protagonist can work in horror, with some going as far as believing that this is the only right way. But there is a reason why so many popular psychological horrors have a voiced cast, as at its core, it's a character study. That does not mean we want our protagonists to incessantly spout comments and banters like it's some Marvel film. By God, no! But there should be at least some interaction, be it scant dialogues, texts, notes, some proof that the flesh mech we pilot throughout the dark corridors has a soul in it. That they are a character, a living, breathing human being. You can excuse a voiceless blank slate in a modern military shooter, a survival game, or a Souls-like, where set pieces, moment-to-moment gameplay takes center stage. Psychological horror gives you less of that bombastic luxury.
Here, it just detracts from the whole experience, forming a tangible distance that conflicts with just how intimately painful the whole tale is supposed to be. Before moving on, we will be going into the spoiler land, so skip here for the summary and a few things regarding the DLC. Long ago in Hungary, there lived a small family of 3. A mother, a father, and their little boy Adrian. For years, things were normal and the 3 enjoyed their little lives, until one day, a tragedy befell our protagonist's mother. A stroke of early onset. Creative boy, what do you presume was the probable diagnosis? I'm going for hypercoagulability syndromes. Basically, your body produces excess amounts of specific proteins that are used to form blood clots, which in turn might end up just randomly plugging an important blood vessel, such as the ones in the brain. Since women are intrinsically predisposed to higher levels of coagulation, perhaps worsened by things such as birth control pills and such, that would be my assumption.
I'd personally go for early onset arrhythmias. They can go undetected in many. Since arrhythmias basically mess up the contractile pattern of a heart chamber, it is no surprise that blood may stagnate and clot slightly, only then to be tossed into the circulation and hit the brain. Regardless of the cause, the disease left Agnes with spastic paralysis, progressing further and further until her tragic departure. The father turned to every doctor he could, a futile struggle that could not halt the inevitable. Sorrow, anger, helplessness. The man turned and drowned himself in work, becoming a husband to his computer. Perhaps the chair-bound man and the computer lady represent what Adrian saw in his father, while the blood monster and the first boss represents the disease and his mother, respectively.
Eventually, the mounting pressure went critical, and in a feat of bitter rage and thirst for vengeance, the father called one of the doctors over and proceeded to end his life. He then tried fleeing with his son, only to end up being caught by the police soon afterwards. In the end, Adrian was sent to the orphanage and his father to prison. Throughout the whole game, the player is given 3 choices that will determine whether or not they'll receive a good, neutral, or bad ending. One is here, where we have to make a choice whether to spare the metaphorical representation of the character's father after the atrocity he has committed. The second is how we approach the Agnes boss fight. One way is to burn the memories of the past, symbolizing the protag letting go of his aforementioned past. The second is to go apeshit on her exposed brain until she ceases all vital function. The third choice comes in the form of this branching hallway. Either forgive or spare, nothing special. Apart from the ending, these choices do not seem to alter gameplay at all. Afterwards, you reach the end of your journey and face off against the twisted representation of your father by spinning this wheel to expose his face and unload on it while dodging a few blows. Depending on your actions, which have absolutely no impact on gameplay whatsoever, you can get a few endings. In the bad ending, the regret, the sleeplessness, and bitter anger is taken out on Adrian for supposedly driving our boy Stig and Agnes apart, that the player character is responsible for her death, that he is happy for removing the doctor from the list of living people, that leaving you in the loving embrace of the orphanage was a just move. In the neutral ending, he is saddened and regretful, but seems to look somewhat brighter at the future, leaving Adrian off with a bit of cash and hoping to one day see his little boy all grown up. In the good ending, believing himself to be an inadequate parent after the tragedy, he believed leaving his son in the orphanage was a choice that needed to happen. The father then goes on to say that he attends anonymous gatherings, finding comrades in pain and suffering, that he isn't alone, giving Adrian what is presumed to be the keys to a house of sorts, where the youngster can turn over a new leaf and perhaps one day mend the bridge between his father and himself. And that concludes Remorse, the list's main campaign, leaving us with only 2 small things to cover, the DLC and some bonus modes. Another memory DLC is just an assortment of puzzles and minigames that are just the explain the story to me button, At least the set pieces look nice, even though they can be a tad confusing occasionally. It does have thrice the visual flair of the original, but lacks any impact or what scant remnants of strength there was. It's a free DLC, nothing groundbreaking, but nothing outright bad. The bonus modes are an assortment of small challenge maps that got carried over from Grey. Majority at their core are taken straight from their predecessor, but it can offer a few interesting distractions, but nothing major.
I guess this is the end. Well, if I were to draw my conclusions, Remorse is definitely a flawed experience that deserves a look if it's on sale, and you have a few hours to kill. The game has a few merits, and if you enjoy the horror games of early 2010s, you might find some fun here.
Personally, I would say it's an inferior product that seems to have taken more steps back than forward. Again, there are much better horror games out there, some of which will cost you nothing. But if you really want to check out a game by people who had their humble beginnings in Half-Life modding scene, I guess you can go for it if it's on a sale of sorts, or just try In Sound Mind. Again, made by Nightmare House developers. We've heard it's good and we'll be giving it a shot later down the line.
All in all, thank you for watching this little video. If you liked it, then pleasing Daddy YouTube and maybe leaving a few comments of encouragement would definitely make our day.
As a topic of next video, we want to experiment a little with RE4 VR. If we see you then, bloody awesome. If our paths are to be never crossed again, stranger, then Godspeed to you. One last minute plug-in. We also have ArtStation and VoiceOver Profile just in case you need a commission done in your life. Farewell.
Take care, everyone.